Marcus had never imagined that his life would lead him to another planet, standing in a palace that seemed alive with light and sound. Earth had sent him as part of a security detail for a historic event. The first summit with the Xiliens, a species known across the galaxy for their intelligence, beauty, and strict code of honor. Most humans were afraid of aliens, thinking they were strange or dangerous. Marcus felt differently. He had always believed in the strength of the human spirit, our courage, our curiosity, and our stubbornness. And now here he was, witnessing something he would never forget. The palace of Veora was unlike anything he had ever seen. Walls shimmered like liquid silver and the floors glowed faintly underfoot. Alien attendants floated silently along the corridors, their translucent skin reflecting the soft light. Every corner of the palace whispered wealth, power, and wisdom. Yet amidst all this grandeur, Marcus's attention was drawn to one figure. Lyra, the Xilian queen, entered the hall with a quiet majesty that made everyone pause. Her tall frame moved like water, elegant and deliberate. Yet there was an energy about her that demanded respect. Her eyes, large and luminous, scanned the room with intelligence and grace. Humans had a word for her presence. It was mesmerizing. Marcus felt his chest tighten as he watched her, feeling something strange he had never felt before. Awe mixed with admiration. He reminded himself to stay professional. He had a duty to protect, to observe, and to intervene if danger came. But Marcus couldn't take his eyes off the queen. He noticed the small details that others overlooked. The way her hands moved when she spoke, the gentle curve of her lips when she smiled at the young diplomats, the way her gaze softened when she looked at her people. She was a ruler, yes, but she also seemed compassionate, intelligent, and aware in a way that few humans had ever seen. The summit began with formal greetings and speeches. Ambassadors from multiple worlds spoke of unity, progress, and peace. Marcus watched for signs of tension, noting every shadow and every whisper. Yet for a moment everything seemed perfect, until it wasn't. From across the hall he caught a movement, a blur of motion that didn't belong. A figure hidden among the diplomats had drawn a weapon. Marcus's instinct screamed at him. The object in the stranger's hand was small, fast, and deadly. A poisoned arrow aimed directly at the queen. Marcus froze for a heartbeat. The arrow was silent but lethal, moving faster than anyone could react. He could see the sharp tip glinting in the palace light, the faint green shimmer of the toxin coating it. Time seemed to stretch. Every training exercise, every moment of preparation led to this instant. Marcus did not hesitate. With a roar of instinct, he lunged forward, throwing himself in front of Lyra. His hand shot out and caught the arrow mid-air. Pain exploded through his palm as the poisoned tip grazed him. The world tilted. The crowd gasped, frozen in shock. Lyra froze, her eyes widening in disbelief and fear. "No," she cried, rushing toward him. Her voice was filled with panic, urgency, and something deeper that Marcus couldn't yet understand. Her hands trembled as she reached out, but Marcus barely noticed her touch, focused entirely on keeping her safe. The palace erupted into chaos. Security swarmed the area, shouting orders and restraining the attacker, but Marcus ignored them. All that mattered was that the queen had not been struck. The arrow was caught. She was alive. Marcus's breath came in short, sharp gasps. His hand throbbed where the arrow had grazed him, the poison already beginning to sting. He managed a weak smile, trying to reassure Lyra even as the pain spread through his body. "You're safe. That's all that matters," he said, his voice strained but firm. Lyra stared at him, her usual calm replaced by shock and a strange new emotion. She had faced wars, political betrayal, and countless dangers in her life. But she had never seen a human do what Marcus had just done, throw himself in front of death to save her. Her mind raced, trying to comprehend the courage, the selflessness, and the inexplicable strength that emanated from him. For Marcus, the moment was simple. Protect the queen. Stay alive. That was all. But for Lyra, it was the beginning of something she would never forget. A bond formed in the face of danger. A spark that neither time nor distance could erase. The poison was fast, faster than Marcus had ever imagined. Even though he had caught the arrow, the venom had grazed his palm and now it was spreading through his veins like fire. Pain radiated from his hand, sharp and burning, making his vision blur. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the last, echoing in his ears. He stumbled but refused to fall, holding himself upright because he could not, would not let Lyra see him weak. Lyra was beside him in an instant. Her hands hovered over his chest, trembling as though she wanted to touch him, but feared worsening the injury. "Marcus, stay with me," she shouted, her voice a mix of authority and panic. Her luminous eyes, wide with fear, locked onto his, and in that moment, Marcus realized that she had never encountered anyone like him before. Not a soldier, not a diplomat, just a human willing to sacrifice his life for another being. He tried to reassure her with a smile, though it was strained and shaky. I'm okay," he said through gritted teeth. "You're safe. That's all that matters." His voice was hoarse but firm. Marcus could feel the poison coursing through his body, weakening him, and he knew the medics needed to act quickly, or he might not have the chance to speak again. The palace erupted into controlled chaos. Security personnel rushed to the scene, weapons drawn, scanning for further threats. Medical droids moved with precision, analyzing Marcus's body and trying to counteract the alien poison, but he barely noticed them. His focus was on the Queen, on Lyra. She stood rigid, her hands trembling, and yet she radiated an intense energy that Marcus had never felt from anyone before. It was fear, yes, but also a deep, almost desperate concern and something else, something he couldn't quite name. Lyra leaned closer, her breath warm against his cheek. I can't let this happen. I won't lose you," she whispered almost to herself. Her voice carried a fragile mixture of fear and awe. Marcus tried to respond, tried to reassure her, but the words stuck in his throat. The poison made his limbs heavy, his thoughts sluggish, but even as his body betrayed him, his mind stayed sharp. You saved me," she continued, her eyes glistening with emotion. "No one has ever risked themselves like this for me. Why? Why would a human do such a thing?" She searched his face for answers, but Marcus could only manage a faint, strained smile. "I couldn't let you die," he whispered, feeling the poison make his voice weak. It doesn't matter who I am, only that you live." He coughed, bitter pain tearing through his chest, but he held on to her gaze. The intensity in her eyes made him realize something important. She wasn't just the queen of her people. She was a being capable of feelings as deep as any human heart. Lyra's hand touched his face, warm and trembling. Her tentacle-like appendages were gentle, careful, as if she feared breaking him with her own strength. "Marcus, stay with me," she pleaded. "You cannot leave me now. Not like this." Despite the searing pain, Marcus reached up and grasped her hand. I'm not going anywhere. Not until you're safe." Every word was a battle against the venom spreading through his body, but he fought through it. He could feel the energy of the palace, the tension in the air, and most importantly, the raw, genuine concern in the Queen beside him. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. It was more than gratitude, more than duty. It was recognition of courage, of connection, of a bond that neither time nor space could easily break. Marcus, lying in the palace hall, poisoned and burning, realized that he had done something remarkable. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because protecting life was who he was. Lyra realized it too. She had seen leaders and warriors, diplomats and spies, but never anyone who would throw themselves into death for her without hesitation. And as Marcus's hand trembled in hers, she felt something stir inside, a seed of respect, trust, and perhaps even something stronger. The poison had started to take hold, but in that brief, burning moment of pain, both human and alien understood one thing clearly: courage, selflessness, and the human heart were forces that even the galaxy could not ignore. Marcus's vision swam. Pain radiated from his palm, sharp and relentless, crawling up his arm and spreading through his body like fire. Every breath was heavy, every heartbeat a struggle. The medics worked quickly, their hands and instruments moving with precision, but this poison was unlike anything Earth had faced before. It was designed to kill, to break the body before the mind could even react. Lyra refused to leave his side. She knelt beside him, her glowing hands hovering over his chest and arms, scanning, analyzing, searching for a cure. "Hold on, Marcus," she urged, her voice trembling but firm. "You are not leaving me. You will survive." Her words were a mixture of command and desperate hope, and Marcus felt the warmth of her concern stronger than any medicine. He tried to smile, but the corners of his lips trembled. I've survived worse," he muttered, though each word felt like dragging a stone across a battlefield. The poison burned, but Marcus's spirit did not waver. He could feel the fatigue, the weakness, the creeping fear that his body might fail, but his mind was still sharp. He still remembered his duty. He still remembered why he had acted. Lyra's eyes softened as she observed him. She had led armies, negotiated peace, and faced betrayal countless times. Yet she had never seen courage like this. Humans, she realized, were extraordinary. Their bravery was not just in battle or strength. It was in their hearts, their unwillingness to leave others behind, their selfless spirit. Marcus's every breath, every weak smile told her that humans carried a force deeper than technology, deeper than power. It was something raw, something real, something that moved her in ways she had never expected. The palace hall, once bustling with activity, now seemed distant. Only Marcus and Lyra existed in that moment, bound by something neither fully understood. The medic's words became background noise. She bent closer, her forehead nearly touching his. "You are not going to die. You will survive, Marcus. I promise you this." Marcus tried to reach for her hand, but his strength faltered. Lyra grasped his fingers, wrapping her own around his trembling hand, sending warmth through his body. "Why? Why do you care so much?" He whispered, voice weak, barely audible. The question was simple yet profound. "I do not know entirely," Lyra admitted, her voice quiet but firm. "Perhaps it is because you risked everything for me. Perhaps it is because in you I see a heart that refuses to bow to fear, that fights for what is right without hesitation. You are extraordinary, Marcus." Pain flared across his chest and he gasped, clenching her hand tightly. "Humans fight always, no matter what," he managed to say. "We protect those who matter." He coughed, a violent, painful sound, but his gaze never left hers. Lyra's breathing quickened. She had not expected to feel such an intense connection with a human, and yet as she knelt there watching his struggle, she realized that it was more than connection. She felt a fierce desire to protect him, to save him even as he had saved her. Her entire being focused on him, ignoring the chaos around them. The poison continued its assault, but Marcus's spirit remained unbroken. Every inch of his body screamed, but his mind stayed steadfast. In his eyes, Lyra saw something that left her breathless. Hope. Defiance. A human heart that refused to surrender. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. It was impossible to tell. Lyra continued to work, combining her species' advanced knowledge with what she had learned from human medicine, trying to find a way to stop the poison. Every time Marcus's body faltered, she whispered encouragement, refused to let despair touch him, refusing to leave his side. In that moment, the bond between human and queen deepened. It was no longer just gratitude or duty. It was something powerful, something eternal, forged in fire and pain, in courage and care. Lyra had never imagined that a single human could inspire such awe, such admiration, such something that felt dangerously close to love. Marcus, though weakened and trembling, caught her gaze again. "You will see, humans are strong," he whispered, a faint smile on his lips despite the fire running through his veins. Lyra nodded, tears in her eyes, holding his hand tighter. "Yes, Marcus, and I see it. I see you." Even as the poison burned, Marcus's spirit shone brighter than the palace lights, and in that glow Lyra understood one undeniable truth. Courage and heart were universal. And she would do anything to keep him alive. Days passed, and Marcus's body began to respond to the treatment. The poison's fire, though still lingering, was retreating. His hands no longer shook uncontrollably, and his breathing grew steadier. But the recovery was slow, painful, and uncertain. Lyra never left his side. She stayed in the healing chamber, monitoring every movement, every pulse, every flicker of expression. For her, time had become measured by his heartbeats and his breaths. The palace had returned to its usual rhythm, but within the walls of the healing chamber, the world was small, intimate, and fragile. Marcus was weak, but his eyes still held their sharp human determination. He had faced death and refused to surrender, and now he faced recovery with the same resilience. Each cough, each wince of pain reminded him of the cost, but he never allowed despair to creep into his mind. Lyra observed him, fascinated and moved. She had met leaders, warriors, and diplomats from countless worlds, but none had shown the kind of bravery Marcus displayed. Not just bravery in battle, but bravery in choice. choosing to risk everything for another being without hesitation. Her admiration for him grew, intertwined with a new emotion she didn't yet understand. She had always been a queen first, a ruler, a strategist, but now she felt something far more personal. "You're alive," she said softly, her voice a mix of relief and awe. I cannot believe you survived." Her hand reached out, brushing lightly against his arm. Marcus turned his head, meeting her gaze, and gave her a small, tired smile. "I told you. Humans fight back," he whispered, voice hoarse. "We never give up." He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his side and he sank back into the soft bed. Lyra caught him instinctively, supporting his weight. "Do not push yourself," she warned. "You need strength, not struggle." They spent hours in quiet conversation, a strange companionship growing between them. Marcus told her about Earth, about human culture, humor, and the small things people cherished. Lyra shared stories of her planet, of her people, their traditions, their struggles. In these exchanges, laughter began to emerge, soft at first, then growing as Marcus's strength returned. Lyra was struck by how different humans were, yet how similar in spirit. They were resilient, stubborn, and full of heart. Marcus, even weakened, carried that spirit in every word, every glance, every gesture, and she realized something she had not expected. She was beginning to depend on him, not just as a protector, but as someone whose presence made her feel safe in a way she had never known. One evening, under the soft glow of the chamber lights, Lyra sat beside him quietly. "Marcus, I don't understand fully, but I feel that you are special. You risked your life for me, and I cannot stop thinking about it, about you." Her words were hesitant, unsure, yet filled with honesty. Marcus's hand reached out slowly, brushing against hers, a gentle connection in the quiet room. You saved me," she continued, her voice trembling. "And I feel as if my life has changed because of you." Marcus coughed lightly, smiling despite the pain, feeling warmth in her words. "You didn't just save yourself, Lyra," he said, voice low but steady. "You saved something inside me too. Seeing you, seeing your people, it reminds me why humans fight, why we care, why we never back down. I'm glad I was here." Lyra's eyes glistened. "Marcus, you've opened my eyes. You've shown me courage, compassion, and something more. A strength I did not know could exist, in a human heart no less." She paused, her hand lingering on his. I want to be near you. Always." Marcus, though still weak, felt a surge of emotion he had not expected. He realized that he had formed a bond with the queen of an alien world. A bond born in danger, in pain, and now in quiet recovery. He smiled faintly, squeezing her hand. "Then we'll face whatever comes. Together." In that room, between human resilience and alien grace, trust and admiration grew. The poison had taken its toll, but it had also created a connection stronger than fear, stronger than distance, stronger than any doubt. Marcus and Lyra, human and queen, had begun a journey neither had anticipated, a journey that would change their worlds forever. Marcus's strength was returning, slowly but steadily. Every day he felt a little stronger, his body healing, his mind sharper. But it wasn't just his body that had changed. His heart carried the weight of what had happened, and his bond with Lyra grew deeper with every passing moment. The queen had remained by his side, guiding him, caring for him, and teaching him about her world. In turn, he shared stories of Earth, of humanity's struggles, humor, and endless curiosity. Together, they discovered a world far bigger than either had imagined. The palace gardens became their sanctuary. Glowing plants illuminated winding paths, and streams reflected the twin moons overhead. Marcus walked slowly, leaning on Lyra's arm when fatigue hit, and she stayed close, her presence steady and comforting. They spoke of everything, dreams, fears, hopes, and laughter began to flow between them like a soft river. Marcus marveled at the way she listened, not just hearing words but understanding the meaning behind them. And Lyra discovered that Marcus's courage was not just in the battlefield or in saving her, it was in his heart, in the way he refused to give up, in the way he cared without expectation or hesitation. One evening, as the twin moons cast silver light over the gardens, Lyra spoke quietly. "Marcus, I have seen many things in my life, battles, betrayal, victories, but never have I seen such bravery as yours. Not in a soldier, not in a diplomat, but in you, a human. You risked everything for me without thought, without fear. Why? Marcus paused, feeling the warmth of her hand on his. Because it was the right thing to do, he said simply. Because some things are bigger than ourselves. Because saving you, saving life, matters more than anything else. His eyes met hers, steady and honest. And because I couldn't let you die. Lyra's gaze softened, her heart pounding. She had led her people with logic and strategy, but she had never experienced an emotion like this. Humans, she realized, were extraordinary. Not just strong or clever, but capable of selflessness that even her advanced civilization rarely matched. She felt something stirred deep within her, something she could not name, something that tied her to this human in a way that transcended duty or politics. As the days passed, their bond grew more intimate. Lyra taught Marcus how to understand her people's culture, their rituals, and their ways of thinking. Marcus taught Lyra about Earth, about human habits, humor, and the stubbornness that often saved them in impossible situations. They shared quiet meals, long walks in the glowing gardens, and nights under the alien sky. Marcus learned to appreciate the beauty of her world, while Lyra learned to appreciate the bravery and warmth of his heart. One night, as they walked along a stream reflecting the twin moons, Lyra stopped. She turned to Marcus, her eyes filled with emotion. Marcus, I don't know if this is proper for a queen, but I cannot ignore it. You risked your life for me. You saved me. And in doing so, you have captured my heart. Marcus's breath caught. He had never expected this, though he felt the same. His hand brushed hers, tentative but certain. Lyra, I feel the same. I don't understand everything between our worlds, but I know I want to be with you. I want to face whatever comes. Together. She smiled, a soft, genuine smile that lit up her luminous features. Then let us face it together, Marcus. Not as queen and soldier, but as two beings who understand each other, who care for each other, who trust each other. In that quiet, glowing garden, a bond stronger than blood or duty formed. It was trust, admiration, and something more. Something neither of them had anticipated, but both felt deeply. Marcus had saved the queen's life, yes, but in doing so he had touched her heart. And Lyra, the queen of an alien world, had touched his in return. The night stretched on, filled with quiet laughter, soft conversation, and the shared understanding that something extraordinary had begun. Humanity's courage, selflessness, and heart had not only survived in Marcus, they had inspired love, respect, and hope in a world far beyond Earth, and so their connection deepened. A bridge between worlds, a bond forged in danger and nurtured in trust. Neither knew exactly what the future held, but both knew this. Together, they could face anything. The palace was quiet that evening, its halls bathed in soft golden light from the floating lanterns. Marcus had regained much of his strength, though he still felt the remnants of the poison coursing faintly through his veins. Lyra walked beside him as they made their way to the ceremonial garden, a special place reserved for moments of reflection and celebration. The air shimmered with a warm glow, and the scent of alien blossoms filled every breath. Lyra had been thinking all day about Marcus, the human who had risked his life for her, who had stayed by her side through pain and recovery, who had captured her admiration and her heart. She had faced countless dangers in her life, yet she had never imagined that a single human could inspire such awe and trust. And now, standing beside him, watching his cautious yet determined steps, she knew she wanted him near her for the rest of her life. Marcus noticed her quiet tension and took her hand gently. "Are you thinking something important?" he asked softly, a small smile playing on his lips. His touch was steady, warm, grounding. He could feel the weight of her thoughts, and he knew without her speaking that this was a moment unlike any other. Lyra nodded slowly, her luminous eyes fixed on him. "Yes, Marcus. There is something I must say. Something I cannot keep to myself any longer." She took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "You risked everything to save me. You stood between life and death for someone you barely knew. And in doing so, you have shown me the depth of a human heart. I cannot ignore what I feel." Marcus's heartbeat quickened. He had felt the bond between them growing stronger, but hearing her words aloud brought a warmth he had not anticipated. He squeezed her hand gently, encouraging her to continue. Lyra's gaze softened, filled with emotion. "Marcus, I want you by my side. Not just as a protector, not just as a friend, but as someone I trust, someone I care for, someone I wish to spend my life with. Will you marry me?" Her words were delicate, almost fragile, yet carried the weight of her entire being. Marcus felt a rush of emotion, surprise, joy, and a deep, heartfelt connection. He had never imagined that a queen of an alien world could ask such a thing of him, yet he knew in his heart that he wanted nothing more than to say yes. He took both of her hands in his, feeling the strength and warmth of her touch. Lyra. Yes, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, I will marry you. I cannot imagine facing any future without you by my side. You've shown me courage, hope, and love in ways I never expected. I want to be with you always. Lyra's eyes shone brighter than the twin moons above. Her tentacle-like appendages brushed gently against his arms as she leaned close, almost as if to seal the promise with her presence. Then we shall face everything together, she said softly, her voice trembling with happiness. No matter the danger, no matter the distance, we will face it together. The palace garden, illuminated by the alien blossoms, seemed to shimmer in celebration. The breeze carried the faint scent of earth flowers Marcus had described to her, mixed with the alien fragrance of Veora's gardens, a symbol of their two worlds uniting. Marcus smiled, feeling a sense of completeness he had never known before. I never thought I'd meet someone like you, he admitted quietly, his eyes searching hers. Someone who inspires me to be braver, to care deeper, to believe in more than myself. Lyra smiled, her expression soft and filled with warmth. And I never thought I would meet a human who would teach me the meaning of trust, sacrifice, and the strength of the heart. You are extraordinary, Marcus, and now you are mine. They stood together in the glow of the garden, hands intertwined, hearts beating in unison. Two beings from different worlds, bound by courage, trust, and love, had made a promise that would bridge galaxies. Humanity had shown its strength not through weapons or technology, but through heart, bravery, and unwavering devotion. In that moment, Marcus and Lyra knew that nothing could break their bond. They had faced death, discovered trust, and now embraced a future together, a future built on love, respect, and the extraordinary courage of a human heart. The day of the wedding arrived, and the palace of Veora was alive with light, music, and the quiet hum of anticipation. Humans and Zillions alike gathered, watching the historic moment unfold. For many, the idea of a human marrying the Zillion queen was astonishing, even impossible, but for Marcus and Lyra, it was the culmination of courage, trust, and the bond they had formed in the face of danger. Marcus stood at the ceremonial hall, wearing a simple earth suit that contrasted sharply with the elegant alien attire around him. He felt nervous but calm, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and reverence. He had faced death, pain, and uncertainty before, but nothing had ever prepared him for this moment. Beside him, Lyra approached, radiant in a flowing ceremonial gown that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her eyes met his, luminous with emotion, and in that instant every fear, every hesitation, every doubt melted away. As they walked together to the ceremonial altar, Marcus took her hand firmly, feeling the warmth and strength in her grip. The hall was silent, save for the gentle rustle of Zillion's garments and the soft hum of the human delegates. The air seemed to vibrate with anticipation, as if the universe itself was acknowledging the courage and love that had brought them here. Lyra's voice, soft yet steady, broke the silence. Marcus said, "We have faced danger, we have faced pain, and we have faced the unknown together. Today we face a new journey, not as queen and soldier, but as partners, as equals, as beings bound by trust and love." Marcus swallowed hard, his throat tight with emotion. "Lyra, I never thought a human like me could belong in a world like yours, but standing here with you, I realize it does not matter where we come from. What matters is what we do, what we feel, and how we care for each other. I promise to stand by your side always." The officiant, a wise elder of the Zillion Council, nodded solemnly, acknowledging their words and the bond they had forged. Two souls from different worlds united by courage, trust, and love. May your bond endure all challenges, and may your hearts remain steadfast together forever. Lyra lifted her hand to Marcus's cheek, brushing her fingers gently against his skin. "Marcus, my human, my protector, my heart, I choose you, always." Marcus smiled, feeling an overwhelming surge of gratitude, joy, and love. "And I choose you, Lyra, always, no matter what comes." When they exchanged rings, simple bands symbolizing unity, the crowd erupted into applause, a mix of human cheers and zillion melodic tones. The palace seemed to glow brighter, the twin moons above reflecting on the joy of a bond forged in courage and strengthened by love. Later, alone on a quiet balcony, Marcus and Lyra looked out over the luminous gardens of Veora. The air was filled with the scent of alien blossoms, and the night sky stretched endlessly above them. Lyra leaned against Marcus, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. "Do you really want this?" she asked softly, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. Marcus wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. "More than anything," he said. "You showed me the meaning of bravery, of heart, and of love. I will spend every day proving that humanity's spirit is as strong as my promise to you." Lyra smiled, her eyes glistening with tears of happiness. "And I will spend every day showing you that even a queen can love freely, fully, and without fear. Together we are unstoppable." In that moment, under the twin,